Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we are going to tackle the blueprint for pretty much all modern enterprise systems, RESTful Architecture. We're going to turn this, kind of complex world into a really clear visual journey.
Okay, let's just dive right in. You ever wonder what really happens in those few milliseconds right after you click buy on a website? Well, it's not magic, it's a super precise journey, and this map here shows you the whole thing. Now I know, right now it probably looks like a crazy complicated subway map, but trust me, by the end of this, you'll know exactly what's going on here.
So to understand that whole journey, we've got to start with the foundation. We need to talk about the architectural style that basically powers the entire modern web. Let's talk about REST. Now, before REST became king, there was this other big player called SOAP. And this table, it just perfectly nails the huge difference in how they think. So, over on the left, was built for the big enterprise world. Super rigid, it used verbs like get invoice, and it demanded these really strict contracts. But REST on the right, well, it was designed for the wide open web. It's flexible, it focuses on nouns or resources like invoice, and it doesn't care what tech you use. And that flexibility, that's exactly why it won. But REST isn't just a total free-for-all. Its real power comes from 6 core constraints. Think of them as the rules of the road for the web. And while all of them are super important for building systems that can scale, there's one that is just absolutely crucial for us to understand our journey, and that's statelessness.
So what does statelessness actually mean? Well, it means every single request you send to a server has to be its own little self-contained package. It needs to have all the info the server needs to do its job. The server literally doesn't remember you from one click to the next. Now that might sound kind of inefficient, right? But it's actually the secret sauce that lets huge services like Netflix or Amazon scale to millions and millions of users without just crashing. Okay, so we've got our foundational rule. Now let's zoom out from the rules of the road to the city plan. See, a single API is kind of like one building, but a big company has this huge sprawling city of different services. So how do you design that city so it doesn't turn into total chaos? The answer is you use layers. Down at the bottom, you've got your system APIs. These are the heavy lifters, talking directly to your core databases. Then, in the middle, you have process APIs. They're like the middle managers, orchestrating business logic, like check inventory and then place the order. And right at the top are the experience APIs. They're at a public face, tailoring the data perfectly for whatever's asking for it, whether it's a mobile app or a website.
And that top layer, the experience API, often uses this really powerful idea called the API facade pattern. Just think of it like the beautiful front of an old building. It looks clean, simple, and elegant. But behind it, oh, it's a chaotic mess of old pipes and wires. The facade's job is to hide all that complexity, so an app developer just gets to interact with a nice, clean, modern API, and they have no idea about the mess humming away in the background.
All right, so our city plan is in place. We've got our layers. Now we need to think about the building codes, the design rules that make every single one of those APIs consistent, easy to understand, and honestly, a pleasure for other developers to actually use. Great API design really boils down to 2 things. First, there's grammar, the structure of your URLs. And the rule here is simple. Use nouns. You identify resources like /customers123, not verbs like /getCustomers. The second thing is the language, the format of the data itself. For years, this was this really wordy thing called XML, but today, the standard is JSON. It's so much lighter, it's easy for both people and computers to read, and you know what? It's just faster.
Okay, so our city is designed, the buildings look amazing, but we've left all the doors unlocked. It is definitely time to talk about security. Let's look at the digital guards and the passport system that protects all this valuable data.
The modern standard for securing APIs is something called OAuth 2.0. But don't think of it as just a lock. It's more like a diplomatic process, and there are 4 key players. You've got the resource owner, that's you, the client, that's the app you're using, the resource server, that's where your data is, and then the most important one, the authorization server. It's like a passport office, issuing these temporary credentials.
So what does one of those passports actually look like? Well, it's a JWT, which stands for JSON Web Token. It's basically a digitally signed, self-contained little token that says exactly what you're allowed to access and for how long. And because it's stateless, hey, remember that from before? The server doesn't even need to look you up in a database. It just checks the signature. It's super fast and it's super secure.
Okay, so we have our foundation, our blueprint, the building codes, and security. We now have all the pieces of the puzzle. So it's time, let's go back to that map from the very beginning.
and trace the entire journey of one single API request step by step. So here it is, the whole trip. Step 1, your request hits the main gateway. Step 2, it shows its JWT passport, which gets validated. Step 3, it's sent over to the Experience API facade. Step 4, that facade then calls the right process API to handle the business logic. And finally, Step 5, the system API goes and gets the data. From your click to getting the data back, all in a few milliseconds.
And there you have it. We've traced the entire journey from click to data. The request is complete, so I guess the work is finished, right? Well, not quite, because in the world of modern APIs, the work is never really finished.
And this, right here, this reveals the final and maybe the most crucial point of all. A great API isn't a project with a start and a finish. It's a product. It lives in this infinite loop. You design it, you develop it, you publish it, but then you monitor it, you analyze it, and you let all that data drive the next version. That individual request might be over in a flash, but for the business, the journey of the API itself, well, that never truly ends. It just keeps evolving.